Howdy. Today we're looking at an Excalibur build again because Excalibur is pretty juicy and I really like him. Now this build is centered around glaives specifically. I mean, I'm sure you could use it on a weapon that's not a glaive, but I'm using it with a glaive because I feel like it has the best synergy here. So we have actually subsumed off his 4. I'm not going to explain his abilities in depth. I know I keep saying that and I intend to explain them, but we're just gonna show the build, right? I'm not gonna explain too much his base abilities. We'll assume you know how Excalibur works for the most part. So we have pillage. I know people, if you watch any of my other videos, you're probably sick of seeing pillage. It is unfortunately way too important since you need armor strip most of the time. But actually, in this case, I suppose it depends on your weapon. We are using it with a glaive, so if you're using Glaive Prime, which has forced slash procs, and that's why you want to use it, you actually don't need pillage. You can run something else here. But if you're using something like Zorus or the Serrata, you're probably going to want this. Unless you are facing Corpus, and that's why you're using Serrata, which makes sense. In that case, you don't need armor strip, but if facing enemies with armor, you are going to need armor strip. That's why I have it in this build. Corrosive projection, high strength, multi augmented. Once it builds up to 328, we can full ship in a single cast. But if you're using glaive, which is actually the weapon I'm going to be showing it with, you don't need armor strip, so that's nice. The gist of this build is to get big damage out of our glaive without having to put too much effort in. I mean, glaives already do a lot of damage, so just making them do more is just very funny. We have Arcane Energize to help with our energy, Prime Flow, of course, Prime Continuity, Prime Redirection, so that if we are using Pillage, we have a larger shield gate. It's at 2.4 right now, because without it, we only have, what, 1.4? Yeah, 1.4. Blind Rage, Transient Fortitude, and 2 augments here. We obviously subsumed off his 4, which usually people build for his 4, but we are not. We have Furious Javelin, because this gives 15% melee damage for 16 seconds for every enemy tagged by his 3rd ability, his Radial Javelin. This is multiplicative. This is like Eclipse on Mirage. And it scales with strength for the damage bonus, and there is no cap on how high it gets for how many enemies you hit. So if you tag like 50 enemies, you are going to have a large damage buff. Unfortunately, if you cast it and hit 20 enemies and then you have like 10 seconds left and you cast it again and tag one enemy, it will overwrite the previous buff that it gave with the new one, and it will not just refresh the large amount you had before, which makes sense. That's to help balance it out. It's just a tad unfortunate. Still though, big damage you're gonna get from this. Then we have Surging Dash. This is an augment that no one uses almost ever. Each enemy hit during slash dash further increases your melee counter by 8, and that scales with strength. So here we have 25 bonus combo hits for every enemy we tag. The whole point of this is so that we get bigger combos so that we can do big damage on our heavy attacks with our glaive. Because building combo with the glaive normally is a pain. That's why people don't use, or they don't make for, I'm stuttering so hard right now. They don't use builds where they go for combo building because it's too much of a pain. A lot of people, they'll just deal with the base combo, or they'll have corrupt charge so they at least get the 2.0 combo multiplier. But in our scenario, with our build, we are going to be using the combo at a very high amount for most of our heavy attacks. This is a pretty average glaive build, I suppose. We got crit damage, heavy attack, wind up speed, more crit damage since crit damage effects are slash procs, whereas like if we went flat damage from, say, Killing Blow, that does not affect the damage from our slash. Viral damage, we have these dual stab mods, so it's a higher chance to apply viral. These 2 mods right here for lots of crit chance, volatile quick return for the explosion, and reflex coils so that it doesn't consume all of our combo attack when we do heavy attack. The arcane you can run is really up to you. I would probably run melee animosity, I guess, but I don't know. I don't really run an arcane on Glaive Prime when I do use it. So this build, the whole point of it is just to build up our combo and get a large damage buff from our radial javelin so that we do a lot of damage with our glaive. So first we'll show the damage without building anything up. So just a normal glaive prime hits. You can see it's okay. It's nothing insane. Pretty average. I mean, this isn't even an amazing build. If we don't proc viral, the damage is even lower, which is unfortunate. But if we say build up our combo, which as you can see, we built it up very, very quickly. That took extremely little effort. Now we're gonna kill the enemies, respawn them, cast radial javelin, 944%. We are doing more than 10 times damage. Now if we cast this, you can see all the enemies I tagged with the slash proc right where it was got destroyed. They are going to be completely decimated. It is very, very juicy. And building up our combo again takes so very little effort. All you gotta do is cast your one and hit a bunch of enemies. So we're at 3 right now. One cast, right? It goes through all the enemies. In a single cast, we're already at our max combo. That's all it took. One cast, hitting all the enemies. And then, as always, again, you just cast radial javelin. And then you do a lot of damage. I think this is an interesting way to play Excalibur. Makes your glaives very, very strong. And it doesn't take very much effort. So, pillage is also good here for survivability because Excalibur has a big survivability problem, which was something I struggled with in my last Excalibur video, where I was using him for big heat procs on like Demolists. That's why pillage is nice, not just for the armor strip, but also because it gives you your shields back, so you can shield gate, and then you have like prime redirection so that you have a big shield gate, making surviving much, much easier. I do recommend always having this augment on, Warrior's Rest, in your X-List. It is very important because it disables the ability for your Excalibur Umbra to go sentient. Otherwise, you would probably want to use normal Excalibur. Because without this, oh, yeah, I suppose it wouldn't be the end of the world if you didn't have it in this specific build because we have pillage, but normally you don't want it because when you go into your operator and Excalibur Umbra runs around, he, for whatever reason, resets all of your buffs from helmet abilities or teammates, and that is a real pain in the ass, losing all of your buffs all the time. So use this to disable that, and it gives you an extra 15% strength. You unfortunately then have to give up like sure-footed or something, but that's not the end of the world. So if you don't have pillage, I'm not quite sure what I would do for survivability wise. You could go just brief respite catalyzing shields and something, but we don't have an ability right now that we're spamming particularly often. So I don't know. If you have a good idea for survivability on high end, because this build is, it works anywhere, but the big damage is mostly to make use of when you're doing endurance runs, right? Like where you need the big damage. Otherwise, I mean, Glaive can kill everything else in the game just fine if you're just doing normal level 100 steel path. So if you have any ideas for good ways to survive on Excalibur, then let me know in the comments. That would be great. Now, I will show it with a different glaive as well so that you can see pillage with the armor strip because, you know, we have it on, might as well. Serrata is my personal favorite glaive, but we'll show Zorus since Zorus is what most people have. I will actually take melee influence off because let's be honest, it's broken and it causes way too much damage, especially on Zorus, and you won't really be able to see how good the damage is by itself. So we're taking that off in this case. Now, we will go back and show it again. First, I forgot to switch out one of the mods for Reflex Coil, which will be Corrupt Charge. I'm not sure it's actually going to fit into this build. You would probably want to run or have different polarized slots or something, so I guess we'll get rid of Dispatch Overdrive for now. So It would be nice to have dispatch, but I don't have it formatted correct for this right now. Alright, now we can show it. First, again, we'll show the damage without anything. Not amazing, because without melee influence or armor strip, it's rough. Very rough. If we were to armor strip, they aren't fully armor stripped now, but it is going to do a lot more damage. So now we'll come back over here. Now you'll really be able to see how much damage it does, because you can see it's doing almost nothing. I can't do damage to them at all. But you'll see how much of a big damage increase it is to have our combo as well as Radial Javelin procced. So we go through, we tag all the enemies. Now we're at max combo. Now we go Radial Javelin. And now... yeah, that's a lot more damage. I mean, one heavy attack was enough to kill them. Before, one heavy attack couldn't even get them down a 20th of their HP. So this is very good for doing big damage. And that was without the armor strip, right? Like, we don't even need the armor strip here. Now, if you were facing level 9,000 enemies, then yeah, you're definitely going to want the armor strip. But most of the time, it's going to be overkill. So yeah, very strong. If you like glaives and you like Excalibur, then I suggest trying this build out. It's pretty fun, and I like that it makes use of an underused augment, Surging Slash. And then you don't have to worry about trying to build for his 4, because while it is fun and it can be useful sometimes, it can also be a pain in the ass at other times. So yeah, that's it. I'm going to show the Excalibur fashion. I just went for like an Excalibur Umbra Prime look. I know, kind of mediocre, but oh well. Very simple. That's all that I've got on. So if you enjoyed the video, then maybe you'll leave a like. If you want to see more random stuff like this, subscribe. If you didn't like the video, then dislike it, so I know that it sucked. Adios.